All men are like that. Hello people, Nico here. I hit on this premise in my last video, the special little snowflake. And recently I saw TFM hitting on a similar premise with his last video, The Enemies of Man, Dominance. I feel in the manosphere, and that means of course MGTOW, PUAs, red pillars, MRAs, and whatever else variation of letters we have in, we're missing a fundamental aspect of what follows with our continuous exploration of women. That very important aspect comes from the fact that we have widely accepted a WALT as a premise into how a woman might behave towards the opposite sex, and in favoritism towards herself and womankind in general. The terms that we use to describe this are hypergamy, gynocentrism, and female solipsism, that we forgot to address the similar aspect of man. No, gentlemen, we're not special, we're as simple as they come. In terms of the rationale that I can use in order to successfully illustrate the point, the same pressures that were used to create hypergamy and gynocentrism in women are the same pressures that would have created male attributes that would justify saying all men are like that. Competitive pressures due to evolution meant that successful men bred their genes to the new generation, and we have inherited them. Now, as it was rightly pointed out before by someone, genes do not necessarily dictate behavior, and in that I do agree. However, I do believe that genes do dictate our instincts. In that video, I listed attributes that I presume all men inherently possess. Whether those attributes are expressed or not, that is mainly to do with the environmental pressures, and in the case of the modern world, such environmental pressures mean, of course, social pressures. Therefore, as we are able to justify a WALT, then we should be able to justify a MALT using the same logic. Yes, we're all different when it comes to displaying these behaviors, and social pressures will dictate how much we can express our full male instinctual potential, but when the instinct is there, it will invariably lead to some alteration in behavior and in some displays of the behaviors I'm describing. In that video, I listed attributes that I believed were inherent in all men, and I want your help in seeing whether I can further expand my list. I'm aware that as TFM dictates, these attributes are aspects that create problems between men communicating in any meaningful way. However, I have faith that when it comes to problem solving, we can work better together. The attributes I listed in the previous video that I personally believe are universal in all men are 1. Competitiveness or dominance, as TFM has put it, is the other end of hypergamy. It is the sword that cuts both ends. If women are to seek the best mates, then men will compete with each other in order to succeed in reproduction. This is so inherent that is displayed by gay men as well, and the fact that no woman will be provided for does not exclude the instinct from displaying in actions. That competitiveness can lead to, of course, violence between men. 2. Violence. Men are more violent than women when we are specifically talking about physical violence. Now, the more astute of you will notice that I said more violent, but did not state towards whom. Men are more violent towards men, and that is bred from the competitiveness that I described before. Within us exists a base instinct, which is called anger, that can be displayed mainly towards other men, who are seen as more of a threat to our reproductive access and to our physical health, with sometimes physical consequences. Stats do not lie, gentlemen, and men are more violent than women. And we need to accept that our anger and definitely our rage can lead to physical harm. With the constraints displayed by society at present, that leads to perhaps passive-aggressive behavior or vindictive behavior which lands someone in harm, but perhaps saving him from the broken bones that he would have suffered, let's say, in the past. 3. Pussy worshipping. Yes, we state that 20% of men get 80% of the women. Men in high demand do not worship the pussy, as one of the readers stated. However, the 80% of men who don't beg and serve. And if not the case, a man who is in the top of, let's say, the 20%, who has no need, who is displaying all this alpha bravado, is doing so and is experiencing it so because that is the end that satisfies reproductive success. Once the pressure of chasing pussy goes away and is replaced by pussy chasing you, you don't have a care in the world. But what happens if that pussy is taken away from that man? Does he miss it? Does he go looking for it? If yes, then it would mean that a set behavior that was exhibited before was exhibited for that desired effect, which of course means that at least the majority of men in general are pussy worshippers. Perhaps you have learned to fight against that emotion and the instinct as many successful men had to learn to do. But it's there and it exists in all of us. Gynocentrism is mainly exhibited by men. It is the only reason female solipsism and in turn gynocentrism exists on a society felt level at present times. 4. Men are the protectors. They're bigger, they're stronger than women and children. As such as evolution would have it, that muscle would be better utilized for hunting, for fighting, and for protecting the weak ones that perhaps carry our genes inside of them. It would make sense that evolution would make men protect their children first and women second, but in actual fact, getting a woman is more difficult or has been proven more difficult than breeding with her. Therefore, her protection would ensure that at least, even if the child is to die, she can give you new children. Is it any surprise that it is women and children first? But between the women and children, it is women that go first. Number 5. Men naturally form alliances for short-term and long-term gain. Men instinctually, through their mistrust, will form alliances with other men in order to protect themselves from other men. These alliances or small gangs are often based on common ideas or ethics, but their biological function is to secure resources and protection towards their immediate family or to make sure that certain women are acquired and are kept within that small gang. In those gangs, there is a hierarchy and there is a provisioning of everyone involved. These safe spaces have been eradicated by modern feminism, but the drive for men of all ages to bond with each other still exists to this day. I mean, that's all I have for now. That's all I can imagine as far as Namalt goes. Many of those aspects do land us in trouble. The competitiveness aspect is a double-edged sword, for example, with regards to male-to-male relationships. Many of us have created the manosphere to remove aspects of our behavior such as pussy worshipping and the protective quality, but in actual fact such traits are exhibited by all of us. I believe we need to be aware of these instincts so as to catch ourselves when we are experiencing them and to guide them into helping us become the men that we want to be. I don't know if you guys imagine any other aspects that I could have perhaps missed in my list, but if you have any ideas, please feel free to express it in the comment section below. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Nico Chosky.